I remember what it was like in a little bitty Assembly of God church in Northern California. 9-year-old little me sitting there on the front row and listening to the song service. And it was back in the day when we didn't have the wonderful cameras and video projectors and stuff. Well, all we had was hymnals. How many remember those days? And we're sitting there sitting through the song service, and I couldn't sing those songs. Because every time we got up there and we started singing, "Victory in Jesus," my 9-year-old little body was sitting there, and I just began to weep. I couldn't sing the songs. And because the Spirit of God was dealing with my 9-year-old little heart, because I was sitting there in the presence of God. Who knows what I'm talking about? And I don't even remember what the pastor preached on. As I was sitting there, all I wanted is everything God had for me. And when the pastor gave the opportunity, because he saw me sitting there on the front row on a Sunday night with tears rolling down my face as he's preaching a message, and he says, "Is there anybody here who would love to give their heart to Jesus?" I ran. I grew up in the church. See, I remember when my legs weren't long enough to hang over the seat. But something happened that night where God met me in a little Assembly of God church in Tehama, California. And my life has never been the same, and I don't think it's supposed to. And I want to talk about a testimony that takes place, because I can tell you this, is that from that moment, my life has never been the same. That night I asked Jesus to come into my heart and to forgive me of my sin and to save me and live inside of me. And you know, as I knelt down at an altar that night, I got up and I felt clean. I don't know how sinful you can be at 9 years old, but all I know is that when I stood up that evening to go home, there was a spring in my step that I didn't know was there. And you know, there has been times in my life when the Spirit of the Lord would come in and just do a mighty work in my life. Who knows what I'm talking about? And I remember in high school, I was 17 years old, and it was like God reached down and he picked me up and he turned me upside down and he just began to shake me until everything that was not of him began to fall out of my life. Anger, pride, arrogance, even the words that I would use begin to just fall on the floor. And the Lord turned me right side up and he said, "Now this is how I want you to walk." It was an amazing thing, because I would come home from school and all I wanted to do was read my Bible. And I remember every time I'd open my Bible and just begin to read it, the Spirit of God would come down and all I could do was weep. How many know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I thought, wow, if this keeps up, I'm going to pass up Billy Graham pretty soon. and I thought, wow, this is amazing. And it seemed like everything I prayed for, God answered. Hey, this is pretty neat. I didn't know living for God was so much fun. If I had known it was going to be like this, I think I would have started serving him with everything I have much earlier than that. Yeah. And then one day I got up and I didn't feel the presence of God. I thought maybe I was on probation. And God was saying, okay, I'm going to use you here for a little bit, but you know, if you mess up, I'm out of here. And I wake up one morning and I pray and I don't feel the presence of God, and I read my Bible and it doesn't just hit me like it did the day before. God, did you leave me? You know what I found out? He never has. But he said, you know, this is a walk of faith. And I'm teaching you to walk by faith, not by how you feel. And so I began to learn and grow as to what it means to just serve God with everything that you have.